WV Uncommon Place. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommon Place digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to our Uncommon Place.
Howdy everybody, welcome to West Virginia Commonplace. This is JR, and I have a special guest with me. She's a co-host also on another show with me, and she's a co-host on this show sometimes. How are you doing, Stacey?
I'm doing all right.
All right, so we do batch episodes. One thing that this episode is, this is a podcaster for podcaster episode. I have been doing numerous episodes where we talk about things in podcasting, and Stacey has become aligned in what we've done. We had a venture where we went out here and started a new show called Sparrows Under Review, and Stacey got her first taste of what it's like to put a show out, to produce it on a whole different platform, which we used a platform called Ausha, A-U-S-H-A. And the reason that I'm covering this is because we had a very good dealing with the actual one of the founders maybe of Ausha. And we were given a lot to talk about and what they have going on with their service. Their service is very... how do I put it? Not in a bad way, but in a good way. They are a startup, and they are freshly trying to carve their way inside of podcasting as a podcast host, and they have a lot of interesting things going on over there.
Now we do have to start out by saying that they are new to the U.S.
Yeah, new to the U.S.
They are one of the bigger ones across the seas.
Yeah, across in France. Now, disclaimer here. The problem that I have with podcast hosts, because we have 3 shows. One of our shows is over on Acast. It is a software a platform host that I use to house West Virginia Presents the Collection. And over there with that one, they give me a lot of promotional tools. And the same thing can be said for Ausha. You get way more promotional tools than we get for Spotify for Podcasters. Because Spotify for Podcasters, I want to be 100% honest, is bland. It's stripped down. You get some information, but you don't get as much detail as you would have gotten with Acast or Ausha.
That's why it's free.
And that's why it's free, like she said. But the other thing is that from a business perspective, the monetization that comes about with podcasting, if that's what you're into, and this is not for the hobbyists, but if you're into this to make some money, you can make a quicker draw with Spotify than any of the other ones. And you don't have to go out and look for a sponsor. They bring it straight to you. They say, hey, we'll pay you $14.99 per RPM. Or we'll pay you $10.99 if you're on another service. So the thing that came back to me was this. And this is what was said to me a long time ago. And this kind of rubbed me the wrong way with a lot of podcasters and gurus. They stated that we're not supposed to be on a free service. We're supposed to pay for a service, because if you pay for something, you're going to get a better reward. Well, as an independent podcaster, the struggles that we go through with financing the microphones to the boom stands to keeping the electricity on for the Zoom recorder, I was not able to be successful on any other platform but Anchor and Spotify.
Right, and I believe part of that's due to our location. We've talked about that a few times. I'm not saying, that's the only reason why you're not successful, but I think that's a major part of it is due to our location.
But the tell of the tape, that the reason for this episode on here inside of my Podcaster for Podcasting series is this. I've used different platforms, and I want to address something that really ticked me off with Ausha. When we initially started with that, the founder is amazing, or if she is the founder or not, she gave us a lot of insight, blah, blah, blah. But once we got started with the service, I released episodes. I released two episodes altogether on their service. And the episodes went nowhere. I messaged them about promotion or just different ways to elevate the episode, and they give you a lot of options if you want to go in and manually put your podcast on a lot of different players, which I understand with them being new.
Right, and they explained to us that there were quite a few platforms that they weren't on, but we didn't realize to what extent were excluded. Like, they're very limited on how many platforms they have right now. And I feel like they're going to be very successful over here once they get approved and are able to put them on platforms like Spotify is. Like, I have good hope for them. But right now they're just so new and like they can't even load to Apple. And that's a major one.
Right. So manually I had to go through on this. And mind you, I'm saying this for the brunt of whatever we do in podcasting. I handle the technical portion.
Right.
And I went in and had to put our podcast on 6 different, or the Sparrows in a Review, I had to put on 6 different platforms to get it out there. And initially from Apple, we were rejected. Google Podcasts, I really don't care, but just because we always have to feed every part of the podcasting realm, Google Podcasts was the easiest one for it to go on. I just slapped it up and it went. Interesting enough, the podcast went on YouTube before it went anywhere else. And when I reach back out to support, and this is me personally, I'm one of these technical people. I get out here and I'm going to ask you questions. I want to see why your function is not like the function I've used before. So we let the show sit on there how long? About a week?
I mean, the trailer was on there for a month and didn't do anything.
Okay, so yeah.
Because we had a 3-month trial before we started having to pay for it. And I know we were a month in and then didn't see anything with the trailer at all. And once the first episode got put out, it was like a couple weeks. Like we were on our almost finished with our 2nd month when we made the decision to go ahead and transfer to Spotify.
Now, I followed all the promotional things. I'll say these are the great things about Asha. Asha gave us a little audiogram that was a little bit better than what you get from Headliner, which I still got love for Headliner because they made me successful. So no disrespect there. So they give you the audiogram, and we were able to move it around in different places, but it didn't generate anything. And I'm the type of person that I don't care about viral results because going viral is not something that's going to maintain anything in podcasting.
Right.
That's just a social media thing.
Turns you, it's kind of like a one-hit wonder type thing.
Yeah, not trying to be Milli Vanilli or the people that made Barbie Girl. Aqua, one-hit wonders. So, like Stacey said, so the thing was that I reached out, and I continuously reached out. And I'm the type of person, I respect everybody being in the world and at different times. So, at least by 12 o'clock my time, which should be in England or wherever else, should be like, almost their evening time, I send out messages and I ask questions. And I didn't get the answers. So I waited and I waited. And like you said, I let the whole month go by. Because I was working on my show and then my 3rd show, which the 3rd show is just an archival show, so it's nothing hard.
Right. And we were just kind of building the archive and storing them.
Yeah. So we went through it and everything. And the thing that really bothered me was when it was time for that show to leave Asha, I had to manually get someone to go in and take it out.
Right, because they wanted to own the rights to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we missed that the first time, like when we signed up for it. Because like usually you're really good at pointing that stuff out. So I don't know if it was in the fine print somewhere or if it was just kind of added in later.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly where it was. And I'll be 100% honest with the audience and you, Stacey. In dealing with this, I didn't do a lot of research into it because it wasn't my pet.
Right.
And I was trying to see what we could do different with someone else.
Right.
Because I'm trying to figure out a better way to get away from Spotify.
Right. And like I said, I feel like Asha is going to be a great company once they are fully integrated into the U.S. Of course, you have to get all your legal stuff set up and your, whatever you want to call it, get your ducks in a row.
True. Now, what made me mad is, and this is once again, I'm a social media guy. For some strange reason, I have moved to Twitter to look at my social media for certain things. And I was following Asha. I was looking at the announcements they were making about, we've made this partnership with Warner Brothers. We made this partnership with this one and that one. And I seen that they were doing all these things.
Right.
And I just couldn't wrap my hand around, you're doing all this, but your product is not here yet. And I'm the type of person I get mad.
Right. They have a lot of, this is what our plan is, instead of, here is what we offer. Kind of. Right. Like, I mean, they were really good about explaining what they did offer, but I did see a lot of, this is what we're planning towards. And I mean, I had high hopes for it, and I still do. I still think it's going to be successful, and maybe it's because of all the purple and the way that they decorate their stickers and do all that stuff, and just the way that she was very nice and how she treated us. So maybe that's kind of in the back of my head, and I hope for really good, successful things for them.
And I do too. But the one thing that gets me, and it was about the Twitter stuff, like whoever runs their social media, and the people I dealt with behind the scenes, they were not very professional as she was. Because the way, if you go back, listeners, and you listen to Podfest episode 1 or 2, whatever, you'll find out about the lady from Asha and the experience. Everybody except her was not very professional.
Right.
And when that happens, I have to see. My problem is, I think in podcasting is sometimes I overstep and make things way too professional.
Kinda, but if you're running a business and you're charging people money, the people that are your support within that need to be professional. Like if you and I are speaking and we were just podcasters giving each other a little bit of advice, there would be leniency with unprofessionalism. The guys that you talk to on a daily basis, I can see that not being professional.
Right.
But you guys also know to respect each other because you're both kind of in this hobby profession type thing, whatever you call it.
Right.
But if you were asking me to pay for a service, all of your people need to have respect and professionalism.
Yeah, no doubt in that. Real quick, because you did that right there for me. Let me give a quick shout out to my podcasting buddies out here. These are people I talk to daily. Or even if it's not daily, it's within the week. We have no boundaries.
When he's driving down the road and he calls me and I'm busy, and I said, call your friend.
So here we go. Uncle Dolomite from Too Much Game, the king of the podcasting on the West Coast, motherfucker-ats. That's part of his trademark. Now let's roll over here. Queen Germ and King Germ of Frocast. Let me say one thing about them. They are two of the most electrifying people in podcasting, and I hate that we're doing this on the slot too. But much respect to them. They have an amazing show segments. They bring you a family sitcom to a degree. Next, Frankly Francisco. Big shout out to him. He did a show with us. Stacy was the audio person on that one. We did a show in a car, in a hot car last summer. Big shout out to him. For Too Many Podcasts out there in Ohio, the Cleveland guys. We like to watch you guys. You guys are actually rocking it out right now. 7 o'clock every Friday. Make sure you definitely check them out. So many to name that. I won't go into all the detail, but just anybody that rocks with us the long way, the short way, we respect it, and we respect your podcast. Now, to wrap this up, because this is just something that we're throwing in for my show, and I appreciate you for coming on for that, Stacy, because I know you got a lot to do for yours.
We have a lot to do for ours.
So, that show's copyrighted in your name.
I understand that, but you put more effort into it than I do. I mean, we pick the stuff that we want to talk about, and you do all the behind the scenes. I'm just talk for now.
And sometimes that's the easiest way. I wish we had someone that could do all the production for us.
Right. So if you're interested, hit us up.
Yeah, definitely looking for some people. Now, one thing that I want to throw in here for podcasters. This is something simple. We record on a Zoom recorder. Mm-hmm. We use XLR mics. We put the mics on stands. We got them on boom arms right now. We're just relaxing. Right. We got a little shitty table we're using today. We don't have Big White with us. And Big White is our table. It's not anything racist.
That's right.
Big White's not here.
My sister never brought it back.
Sister didn't bring back Whitney. You didn't bring back Big White. And that's why the table's all wobbly. We can't even touch it. Like, I got my knees dipped low, got my seat a little bit
Right.
lower than
It's like I
normal.
really want to drink a water, but the bottle is so heavy I can't even touch it.
Right. So we'll definitely do that in between shows. So one thing I just want to finish up with is the collaboration efforts of people. I want to say this, and this makes the most sense to me. We've worked with a lot of people. They pass along our QR codes. They do the Snapchat thing that I'm famous for. If you want to hear about that, wait until May 9th. I will be appearing on a big podcast about that. So I'll finally be able to call myself JR the Guru. But I want to say, like, the collaborative effort is not about you being on the show or us being on your show. It's the behind the scenes stuff that these amazing people do when they share. I was a victim. I wasn't a victim. I was the culprit in saying to not share and not to like.
Likes and shares don't matter to me.
Yeah, likes and shares don't matter to me, but likes and shares do move you in every algorithm sense. So, real quick on a side note, I want to thank you, Stacey. I want to give you your flowers today because if it wasn't for you, I would not have TikTok. TikTok has been influential in our listener migration. We have a 40% migration rate. People might say, oh, that's bad. But think about this. People on TikTok have short attention spans.
Right.
If I can convert somebody from a 3-minute watch to a 30-minute watch, I'm feeling strong. I'm feeling like Hulk Hogan, woo, snapping to a Slim Jim Randy Savage.
40% is better than 0.
Right.
I mean, if you're out there and you're not getting any type of migration, I mean, that you're doing better, or you're not, you know what I'm trying to say? 40% is better than 0.
And that's one thing I will say here, because I had a minor disruption from someone or whatever. But if you want the consultant business from me, and I'm going to tell you this is what I do. Your podcast, you can get somebody else to build it. But when your show gets to the middle and it gets stagnant, I'm the guy you come holler at. Because I will get your show built up and I will show you some simple social media tactics that these gurus, they don't talk about. All they talk about is Facebook.
Right, but I think it's also not dissing any of these gurus, because he's not meaning to do that when he says it. But these things are just so simple that you think, everybody knows they need to do that. So I don't talk about it. I think those could be possibilities as well.
Right. And then one other thing I want to say is, like, to people that come seeking advice from someone, understand 2 things. There's vanilla advice. That's the free advice I give you. And then there's paid advice. And that paid advice is not put behind a garden wall. That paid advice is the advice because I'm going to have to go audit your show.
Right.
And people don't realize when you audit somebody's show, it's more than listening to 3 episodes, more than listening to 4 episodes. I got to listen to at least 10 episodes.
Right.
And figure out the common denominator or why your show's stuck.
Right. And unless it's a show that's already on your radar, then you have to take time out of your day to listen to a show that you might never have picked up before. And not saying that the show is bad because that you've never listened to it. Everybody has different taste, and it could just be something where you've never seen any advertisement for them, so you've never thought to listen to it. But you're taking time away from your day, your job, you're spending your time with me, like, to do all this stuff for other people. So you've got to understand that there needs to be some type of compensation. Like you give me a rough range of, give me your budget, and that's when we can decide what you need to pay up front as your deposit for me to do my research. And then we can agree upon a consultation fee. And, like, I think that's what we need to do. And so it's not like, hey, come to me, I'll listen to your show, I'll do all this research, and then I'll give you a price. That's not how this works.
Right. So I tell everybody, if you want to reach me in the proper channels, you go over to www.wvuncommonplace.com. I have an email spot. I have a consultation spot. You hit the consultation, I will get that email. I will respond to it in a timely manner that suits my schedule.
Right, Monday through Friday, normal business days, usually within 24 hours. If they hit you up on a Friday, it's not going to be returned until Monday.
Yes, and our general working hours, I know they're kind of light. They're 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Right.
I know that's only 4 hours a day, but that's the 4 hours that I've allotted to mess with that stuff, and it's always been that way. So definitely head over to that. Now, to swing things around.
Because you're not a major, like, you're not a huge money maker, so you do have to work a full-time job.
Right. So, finishing this up, I want to say this to podcasters. Staying amazing, staying great in creative spaces is a great thing. Continually moving along and figuring out what makes your show proper, makes your show great, is something that I want you to continue to do. And don't let anybody, oh, there goes the iPhone. Don't let anybody knock you from your creative prowess, because I will tell you this. I've had so many people come to me and say, hey, I don't like your podcast. I don't like that you cover, why do you have a Y series about video games that I don't care about? Well, if you wanted me to care about the games you wanted me to care about, you put something in verbal, or you send me an email if you're an audience member. If you're just a critic and you're just here for trolling and stuff like that, that's fine too. That's
right.
not...
And I'm going to jump on that real fast. I don't care if you talk about 50 different things on your podcast, because we're not doing a podcast for one person. We're trying to do a podcast for thousands of people. Yeah, I might be being greedy when I say that. I don't quite want 1 billion people yet, but we are trying to draw in thousands of people, and we want to have a little bit of everything for somebody. We don't want one thing for everybody. We want something for everybody. Does that make sense?
Definitely
so
does.
we do go off of topic a lot of times. Like, we'll be sitting here talking. Heck, we started talking about a streaming podcast service. Then we ended up talking about this and that and whatever. And we enjoy doing that stuff. It's not something that's going to be for everybody, but that's okay. The only thing we do ask is you put that on 3.5, turn the volume down, and give us the play.
She said it best, because if you're not doing it, these people are buying downloads from crazy stuff anyway. And that's another topic for another episode. I'm not going to even dive into that monkey or horse. So, like always, I'm going to get a little nostalgic real quick. I said nostalgic. I didn't mean to say that, nostalgic. Is this real simple thing. I want to thank you guys for listening to West Virginia Uncommonplace. I'm JR.
And I'm Stacy.
And we're going to wrap this up like this. You know the British lady's going to say whatever she says, and I know I need a new freaking outro and intro. We will be working on those, but if there's someone in the creative space that wants to create one, I'll buy it from you if you have the right price and you have the right sound. Right,
because we would love to get something put together for both shows. The WV Uncommonplace and also A Sparrow's Under Review. Like, I have ideas, but I'm not good at that stuff. So it would be very refreshing, as you like to say sometimes, to have a different voice to talk about our show.
Yeah, no doubt in that. And once again, I'm signing off.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at oncommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.